Hello, everyone. This is Josh from the Wrestling with the Willeys podcast. I'm here to talk about Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. And let me explain that it's free. There's creation tools that help you record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. They go through Apple Podcasting and pretty much anywhere that sets up podcasting for you. Also, you can make your money with your podcast too. And it doesn't take that much at all for you to be able to do it too. So it's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. If you guys are interested, just go to the app in both the iOS and the Android store, or you could go to their website at anchor.fm. Thank you and have a good day. Voting isn't just going to the polls on Election Day anymore. Options like early voting, mail-in voting, and ballot drop boxes are available to more voters and are growing in popularity. How to Vote, a tool created by Democracy Works, breaks down the options your state offers for casting a ballot, empowering you to decide when and where to vote. Democracy works best when we all vote. But misinformation and confusions about election procedures have resulted in low voter turnout. How to Vote, a tool created by Democracy Works, takes the guesswork out of the voting process. If you're interested, go to Democracy Works and have a good day. Even though that this is a presidential election, there are many more candidates on the ballot besides the president. Go to Ballot Ready for a nonpartisan guide for the entire ballot. From there, you can compare candidates based on stances on issues, biography, and endorsements, and then save your choices to use them when you vote by mail or in the voting booth. You could even request your absentee ballot or make a plan to vote early on election day. This election matters. Make sure you have a plan to vote and stay informed. Thank you and have a good day. All right. Hello, everybody. It's time for the Wrestling with the Willeys podcast. I'm here joined with Jeremy this week. We're going to be talking
everybody.
And we're going to talk about TakeOver 31. But we're going to talk about TakeOver 31. And by far, this was better than, to me, this was better than, what was the last pay-per-view that we did? Whatever, last week's pay-per-view. That one pay-per-view that I can't think of at the moment. But, what's it called?
Pretty bad since it was a week ago.
I know. That's the shame. That's the problem that I have with some of these fucking damn shows. They end up having they have different names for the shows, but it's like, I don't really give a shit about some of these, even though that it was good. Oh yeah, Clash of Champions. Yeah. There we go. It took me a little bit for me to remember, but anyway, I always like the fucking takeovers better anyway. Mostly because they are more wrestling focused and they don't do stupid finishes. Really, I mean sometimes they do, but like a lot of the time they usually do clean finishes for most of the guys. Or for most of the matches anyway. So that's why I always like them better. Especially that I think a lot of their fucking people that they have in there right now are some of the best wrestlers that they have. I mean, granted, they have Aleister Black and Keith Lee and all of them now on the main roster, but still. Anyway, it's kind of cool too, especially with these matches, how there's only like 5 of them. And so they give them more chances to they give them longer matches and shit.
Well, the interesting part is, remember one of the things I talked about Clash of Champions was that I felt there were too many matches. Remember I was talking about how there was one that was 25 minutes long, and then there was 4 of them that were 25 minutes long, and then the last 2 were 21 and 23 minutes long. So
yeah,
essentially what NXT Takeover did was exactly what I was talking about that WWE should have done with Clash of Champions.
Well, I
So it's
mean,
kind of
if they
funny
would
that
just highlight some of the, I think that's the problem too. Is that a lot of them they got like fucking like 20 championships belts on the main roster. So it's like, oh, all of them got to be defended. So you're gonna have like fucking 15 or 20 like damn championship matches, even though that they say that, and then they only do some of them. Granted, because the coronavirus doesn't really help, but anyway, still, like this one, they only have like fucking 4 or 5 belts anyway. I think the only thing was that they didn't have tag team belts in this one. Everything else was like all the main titles. The only one was the tag belts. But I mean, that's why I always like that anyway, is that they don't have to highlight it every single time. But I guess we'll start off with the first match. I don't even think that they did a kickoff or whatever anyway beforehand. They could have, but I don't know if they even had any matches or not. Should have looked that up. But so far as I know, I don't think that they did. But what's it going? Yeah, it looks like I'm looking up the results, and it looks like, or at least the card, and it doesn't show anything. But anyway, the first match was Damian Priest versus Johnny Gargano, and I knew that this was going to be a decent match anyway because Damian Priest was Punishment Martinez when he was out on the Indies and like Ring of Honor and stuff. So I already knew that he did pretty good matches beforehand. And then of course Johnny Gargano is like a Johnny Takeover practically. I mean, like sometimes that kind of hurts him though. I think in some of his matches is because you expect so much from Johnny Gargano during his matches. So whenever you see some where they just like kind of fall a little bit, like because this one was okay, it wasn't like my favorite one. I definitely think that my favorite matches that Johnny Gargano was in was with Tommaso Ciampa. I think the
oh, I
three
would
that they
agree of the
did.
ones that I've seen because NXT falls on the end of my um, watch. Unfortunately, excuse me, because of the day that it's on, it kind of tends to follow on one of the last ones that I actually watch.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I tend to focus a lot on the pay-per-views, and I do recall that the ones that I enjoyed the most with him was when he would face Ciampa.
mostly because they are both awesome as wrestlers anyway. I've always liked the twisted version of Ciampa anyway, like the heelish version. Like
He's went
because
back to that lately, hasn't he?
yeah, I fucking love his gimmick now. Like he
Mm-hmm.
comes out with a fucking skull mask, and it kind of remind because when he was on the Indies in Ring of Honor and shit, he used to do a psycho killer thing. I love his fucking entrance music too. His entrance music was fucking way better than the stuff that he has now. And a lot of people hate his fucking theme now, like the "No One Will Survive" one. But I think it fits his character completely. Like it's totally fine for me. I definitely think that they should have had him with no music for a long time, like because I think that was the main person that would have worked for him to just come out. But I mean, like I think they would have probably had him still with no music on and just had like his ring thing, like the videos and stuff like that, be the same. If it wasn't like he got injured and all that stuff when it happened back in the
Mm-hmm.
day. But I love his gimmick now. Like he comes out with the mask and it's kind of like the psycho killer thing because he comes out and just beats the shit out of people and then he goes home because he lost the match. So he's like, oh, I'm crazy, and then beats the shit out of them. But what's it called? Anyway, this that's why I'm saying like this match was okay, just because I like Damian Priest. I think that he could do. I don't know. So I think his match with Timothy Thatcher from like NXT from a couple of weeks ago, I think, was better than this one. But I definitely like Thatcher though. I'm like I heard stuff about him on the Indies from like Cultaholic and stuff that they were talking about that he does really good matches with like everybody because he does like a lot of the catch wrestling like Angle did and stuff like that. Uh, but like he used to do that shit with Walter and a bunch of other people that are now in WWE. But I definitely think that match was better than this one was. Not saying that this match was bad though. Like all the matches were good, but I definitely think that this was Johnny Gargano's my least favorite match that he's done. Like with like everybody that he's wrestled with so far.
Yeah, and I think that's partly because, well, I'm not a huge fan of Damian Priest. Anytime I've seen him wrestle, I'm not that big of a fan of his. I don't know if it's just the way he wrestles or what, but you know,
Well,
I don't know how to even explain it because the entertainment factor for me isn't there when he wrestles. I guess is probably, you know,
yeah, like
what I can
it took
say.
me a while, like because I like his Punishment Martinez version. Like it was a much darker version of like what he's doing now. Like because he would come out and he would just surprise people. It's kind of like Undertaker in a way, but it was like more demonic in a way, and I could see why they went away from that. Like in WWE because you know they don't like doing straight uh certain things. So I mean, and it took me a while to even like the Archer of Infamy stuff, just because I mean now like knowing that he's like kind of full tilt, whereas like he's just like, oh yeah, I'm being badass. I got this title, and he's being all cocky as shit. Like it was starting to work for me, but before it wasn't working. But definitely, I knew that he was going to win this match anyway. And that's what I'm saying. Like some of the spots, like, I mean, the cool thing was his finisher, which is pretty much the Crossroads from Cody Rhodes. But the only difference with how he beat Gargano in this match was that he did it on the top rope, which multiple people have done like before. But like it makes sense why Gargano would lose off of it, just because it's like more of a oomph to it, and he like landed almost directly on his head too,
Mm-hmm.
so it made sense why he lost. But and it definitely like Gargano's definitely one of the guys where it's not like so. I'm trying to think of the thing that they call Cashizono, like where it's like kind of like the ring key. Damn, I can't think of the phrase that they call it, where like if you're really trying to get somebody over, like if you're safe with certain people and you wrestle with the people to make you suit and look good. And I think that's what they were trying to do with Gargano in this match for Priest, where was to try to make Priest look real good in this match. And I think that and it kind of failed a little bit, honestly, to me. But I mean, still not saying. I definitely think that other people made him look good rather than Gargano. That's why I say like this would be like I don't know my least favorite match probably, maybe second least.
Oh yeah, I would
If
agree.
anything.
It was it was one of my least favorite matches of the card.
Because it was like this one and then the
And
next one.
again, that was one of those things you would think that they'd. Well, I guess this kind of goes to what I was saying though, is that you build up and you want to keep it there. So I guess if that was their goal, they've kind of hit it so far because this was my least favorite. So it built up to the end.
Yeah. Yeah, that is
So,
true. Yeah.
so like I said in the last pay per view, Clash of Champions kind of had a reverse bell curve. So it worked up and then it went down and then went back up again. And you wouldn't think you'd
Yeah.
want that. So,
Yeah. Like I definitely think that probably yeah, out of the matches I would probably say that this is definitely my least favorite out of all of them. Like just because like I don't know. I was like invested but not as much as like I'm like I definitely think that the Velveteen Dream Kushida match was better. Mostly because Kushida is like really good in the ring. I've seen some matches from him in New Japan, and every time I've seen him, like I've enjoyed his matches. He used to do a tag team with Alex Shelley, and they called them the Time Splitters. And so, like, that's when I started following Kushida around because he's been in New Japan for like ages. It's kind of like Shinsuke. Like when he was in New Japan, he was in there pretty much his whole entire career. Like Kushida did, because at one point they were split. Stuff like they kind of did like a friendship deal with Ring of Honor, and then at one point it was with Impact too. But like for a lot of it, Ring of Honor and New Japan would switch around a lot of their guys. So like Kushida, that's how I first started watching Kushida. He was in Ring of Honor, but like this match was definitely fucking like to me it was like really good just because the ending and how they ended it. And we were talking about this during the stream where it seemed like Velveteen Dream might have tore a pec muscle because they kind of like did the match where Kushida went in on him and beat the shit out of him practically the whole match. And then even then after the match, they were beating the shit out of him again.
Yeah, and I mentioned during the match, I wonder if he did something to his shoulder because he was.
Yeah, it has to be something. I wonder if I should look that up to see if they said anything yet. But what's it called? I definitely think that mostly because I like this one more. Just even though that I didn't think that I was going to enjoy it more.
Well,
because I didn't.
He suffered a
hyperextended
arm during the post-match attack by Kushida on a NXT back in September. So I don't know if they're continuing that. But it seemed, like I said, when I noticed his pec, it seemed like it just seemed like there was something more wrong with his arm.
You never know. I mean, they could just like say it afterwards and it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's from January. Yeah, that's from last year too. I don't know. I haven't seen anything, so it looks like everything's all right. Because you know how most of the time with WWE, they would say that like now.
Well, yeah, they would say it pretty quick. So
yeah. But hopefully he's all right. But like, definitely he whooped his ass, which it makes sense anyway.
Yeah,
I mean,
I didn't realize. I thought
shit.
it was just a joke, but I guess that's how Kushida dresses normally, is like Marty McFly.
Yeah.
So I think it was Velveteen Dream just messing with him, coming out looking like Doc Brown tonight.
Yeah, well, you know that Velveteen Dream always ends up having to do them mind games, which is one of my favorite aspects from him. Is know that he always ends up having to fuck with people. It kind of reminds me of old school Rick Rude a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
He even airbrushes his trunks and all that shit. So, but definitely he whoops his ass. But I mean, like, also at the same time, Velveteen Dream sold that shit like it fucking destroyed him.
Mm-hmm.
even after the match, like he was like, please don't.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it was, and like I said, I enjoyed the funny thing is I remember going into this match thinking that I wasn't going to care for it, and I actually enjoyed watching this one.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing was different about the first match in this one, was because I didn't expect. I thought it was just going to be like they were going to go back and forth, and then eventually like Kushida was going to win because I didn't think he was in a takeover or like any like serious matches beforehand. And then of course when they showed like he injured his wrist at one point during one of the matches, I was like, oh, okay, so definitely he's going to win. But like they of course, like how well the match was put together, I kind of like forgot it, which happened a couple of times during this whole pay-per-view. That's one thing I love about NXT pay-per-views, is because you kind of have your inclination on like who you think is gonna win, but then how well the match goes, you kind of forget, and then you're like, oh, I wonder if they do win, blah blah blah, and then it goes the same way.
Yeah.
But definitely, this is probably one of my favorite matches. I'm like, I would probably say at least 3.5 of 4 stars out of this one.
Yeah, I would say 3
what I
for
would
me. I think
post it.
2.5 was for the first one. This moved up to a 3.
Yeah, true that.
Because there was what, 5 matches in total?
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, there wasn't much matches at all, which is totally fine anyway. They don't need to end up having a lot of matches. But what's it called? Yeah, I'm trying to think of the one after that. I think it was
Swerve Scott against.
Oh yeah, Swerve Scott and
Yeah.
Escobar, which I mean definitely that I would say that this is like right behind Velveteen Dream match. I think for myself,
Yeah, I
would
felt the
say that
same
it's
thing. I
probably
was going
like
to say it
right in
was
the
a
middle.
3, and one of the biggest reasons is for me. I think this was where I was talking about. I didn't know either one of these people, so I had a hard time
Yeah,
knowing even how the match was going to go because I wasn't too familiar with either one, and I don't know if that's,
yeah,
again, because of the fact NXT falls on my back on the back burner, but most of the
yeah.
people I still
Because I
know,
mean,
but
if you're
these two,
watching Raw,
I
yeah, if you're watching Raw and SmackDown and stuff like that too, it's like it's hard to keep up with that and everything else. It's like you're watching so much wrestling all the time. It's hard to keep up with Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views, NXT. Then if you watch AEW or if you watch Impact or any of the other stuff, it's like that's already like 20 hours out of your day.
mm-hmm.
Or out of your week or whatever. So it's a lot of content to watch. So of course, that's my main thing too with NXT is that sometimes I don't watch it as much as I should. But certain like marquee matches, like the Gauntlet Eliminator or whatever match they did for how Kyle O'Reilly won, I had to watch that episode because I heard that there was some decent matches on it, especially the Gauntlet itself was cool the way that they did everything. But what's it called? So and this was the first match that I saw with Escobar in it. So like I was wondering like because I heard that he was pretty good on the indies and did a lot of good matches with a lot of people. So I wasn't surprised about that, but then I knew of Swerve Scott like I was talking about when we were just watching it by ourselves as Shane Strickland from and Killshot on the Indies and Lucha Underground and stuff. So I knew how his matches were, and there was a lot of good matches that I saw from him with other guys that are still out there, or some that were still in, like Brian Cage. He had a match with Brian Cage before like in Lucha
That
Underground,
big
and that was
fucker
pretty
from
tight.
AEW.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like Brian Cage and Shane Strickland and a bunch of the other guys, like even Johnny Mundo. I think he went against him in Lucha Underground too. I could be wrong though.
well,
I know
Johnny
that they were all
Morrison
in
is
there.
smaller, but Brian Cage is
Yeah,
enormous.
yeah, he is huge, and especially he could wrestle his ass off for being a big guy, which is crazy. But same with Willie Mack that's over there too. Or like now he's in Impact Wrestling, I think. Same with Brian Cage, but now he's in AEW. But anyway, I'm getting off the subject. But anyway, most of the time he always did good matches with like practically everybody. So I thought he was going to do well in this match too. But I figured that Escobar was going to beat him anyway, just because WWE kind of does a thing where like no matter what, they usually never like go like a couple of months before switching titles around. So like I think we talked about it during the last podcast too. So like if they've only gotten it for like a month or something, or a month or 2 months or something like that, they usually don't drop it like right away.
Unless you're
Especially
Sasha
I think
Banks.
that they're yeah, exactly. think she's the only one that it ever happened on.
It's happened numerous times with her. It's like,
yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like 5 or 6 times with her and Charlotte. But
it's like, I wouldn't want to get the title if I was Sasha because you won't have it for very long.
yeah, exactly. I mean, even then, she did it on Raw too. Like the women's title belt with Asuka, she lost that shit after like a month. But anyway, geez. But what's it called? Anyway, so like this match was cool just because I liked how Swerve was trying to do. I mean, he already does high flying shit, but like it was kind of cool how he was doing lucha libre stuff throughout the match.
Well,
And
the one
like
thing I could
doing
say
kind of the
about
same thing.
watching this match too is Escobar was selling the shit out of anything Swerve was
Yeah,
doing. I mean, that was at least I could say that about watching this match is that it was believable what was
yeah.
happening because they both were selling it, but especially Escobar that I felt.
Yeah, it kind of I'm like Swerve Scott's reaction to a couple of the moves that Escobar did, or like the 450 splash was the main one. He did the 450 splash and then he kicked out, and then he had this. It reminded me of the Cruiserweight Classic when Cedric Alexander, I forgot what move he did to Kota Ibushi. He jumped out of the pin and he was so shocked. He was like, "What? He got out?" He did kind of the same thing with his 450 splash. And he was like, "What the fuck? I did not expect him to kick out." That type of thing. And that's what I was like, okay, this is the type of, and that's what I love about wrestling too, is when they make it like believable, where you are invested to everything that they're doing. So like, especially when I'm just like, it's gonna be like okay, and then it was better than I expected. That's when it's always like, or like at least it got me watching more for it. And I love Shane Strickland or Swerve Scott. I love him, but like Escobar, I want to see more of now. So definitely, I would say that this is 3 stars, but definitely, I'm intrigued if they keep going with their feud. Like if they keep, especially the promo afterwards, or actually, I think that was after the Io Shirai match or something too. I think it was after the Io Shirai match actually. But yeah, I would probably say at least 3 stars for this
Yeah, it
match.
matched up with the one before it. It didn't. It wasn't better. It wasn't worse. So I would agree with the same ratings actually.
Yeah. So and definitely probably the second match of the night for me. I would say that of course the Candice LeRae and Io Shirai match for the title. Definitely, I knew that this was going to be a good match before I because I've seen them. I think they were doing the ladder match between each other or something like that. I think that they were talking about in the package where she scraped out her eyes or whatever during the thing and made her lose the match or whatever. I think, but I don't remember them doing like a straight up singles match when Candice was a face. So now knowing that they've flipped them, I like the hype package that they did and everything else, but they did a lot of cool things during this match, and especially they were really hyping up like Candice LeRae is like really trying anything. Like when Johnny came out and he tried to do the pin, which always makes me laugh because it's like you wouldn't think that they would just be like, you know what, we're gonna throw this out because it's not like you're the actual ref. Like
Well,
every single
but it was
time they
like
do
the
shit like
whole
that.
Bailey thing. Remember when she put on the shirt for Sasha? It was like,
Yeah,
really? I mean, and that was even blatantly worse because she was literally at ringside the entire time. She, with this, at least he
yeah,
came out after the
yeah,
ref was
with the
knocked out.
shirt and everything. Yeah,
So it was a little bit more believable. But when she ripped the shirt off the ref in that other match, it was like, really? And then they finished it and left. It's like, that's how we ended that? Okay. But yeah, I'm a
yeah.
fan of Io Shirai. I always have been. So like when even when Asuka was back in NXT. I think she fought, and this was early on in her thing.
Yeah, this
And
was like very, very
yeah, and
early.
so I've been a fan of hers for a while. And when I think she was a tag team with Kairi Sane, wasn't she at one point? Yeah.
Yeah, they were. I don't remember if they were a tag team, but I know that they were supposed to be like
I
best
think
teams or
that's what I
whatever. So that's
remember
why.
is that she would be around at least when Kairi Sane was in matches and stuff.
Yeah, because it was around the time when Shayna was with Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke, and they were kind of like running roughshod around everybody. So then they had Kairi Sane be with Io Shirai as like best friends. And I think the other person was Ember Moon at one point or something. It was around the same time. It was right around the time that Kairi Sane and Ember Moon got called up. It was right around the same time.
They were
Either
a
that or
tag team, and
Candice was
then
helping. Yeah,
they
that's what it was. That's what it was. Is that Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, and then it was
because they were
Candice
the
that
Sky
was helping
Pirates.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. See, I couldn't remember if they actually named them as a tag team or if they were just best friends the whole
Because
time.
then that's when they broke them up when Kairi Sane went
went up. Yeah. And then like right after that, like a few months later, then they turned them into the Kabuki Warriors, which is such a dumb name. What the fuck, man? It's like they could come up with such better names. I know it's difficult to come up with certain names, but come on, man. It's like the main thing. I'm just going off on a tangent just for this one thing. The main nitpick that I ever have when it comes to teams in WWE, especially around the time, was when they did Rhodes Scholars. When they could have just named them Rhodes Scholars, they had to name them Team Rhodes Scholars for whatever fucking reason. And then when they did, instead of just Hell No, they had to do Team Hell No. And they did that with a few teams. I was like, why, when they're already a tag team, why do you have to put team in front of their name?
Yeah, I know.
Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to me at all why you name them Team Bloody Blah when they're, hey, everyone welcome out the tag team, Team Blah. So dumb. But anyway. This match is good anyway. Like, I definitely love Candice LeRae. Anybody that hasn't watched any old school, like, Candice LeRae matches, though, definitely should check out the one where it was like, it was a PWG match where it was like the world's cutest tag team, which is Joey Ryan and Candice LeRae. I forgot who they went against. I think it might have been like Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, or it was the Young Bucks, and then it was somebody else. I forgot the other tag team. But like Candice LeRae takes a fucking shot to the face, and she's covered in blood. Her face is like, and she was like the bloodiest out of them all. But like, and I've been a fan of her ever since I saw that match. I was just like, holy shit, because she worked harder than most of the guys on that card. Like, I was just like, holy shit. And you got to have respect for somebody
Joey
that
Ryan,
pretty much
wasn't it?
takes all the. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. They were in the, because that they even in being the elite when Candice LeRae went to WWE, they were doing a skit for probably 6 months where Joey Ryan was on there, and he was just like talking about, they're like, where's your tag team partner at? And they're talking about her. So it was like, oh man. So they were beating up on him the whole time. And then like they're like, where's your tag team partner at? And then all of a sudden he just gets sad. So it was goofy. But like anyway, that I'm just going off on a side thing about like definitely one cool match. But definitely like this match. I thought it was cool. So I definitely would say that it's 3.5 or like 4 stars for me anyway, just because I really enjoyed it. I thought, but I knew I was going to enjoy it too, though.
Yeah, same here. That's what I was saying. It gradually moved up as the night went on, and this was the second best match of the night to me.
Yeah, definitely the main event though. And I knew in my bones that it was going to be the main event and it's going to be the match of the night, was mostly because I've been a fan of Kyle O'Reilly for such a long time. And I love Finn Balor too, but I've loved Kyle O'Reilly ever since I saw him in Future Shock, which was a group when they were in Ring of Honor. It was like, I don't think that it was right when Kyle O'Reilly was starting out, but it was close. But like he was in a tag team with Adam Cole called Future Shock when Adam Cole was doing the Florida Keys suplex that he does as his finish. And I've been a fan of Kyle O'Reilly's ever since, just because like the way that he wrestles seems more legit to me. It's always been more legit because he does more martial artist version of like wrestling. So I have always been like that. So yeah, that match. That match. She like gets super, I think she gets like double super kicked by the Young Bucks. Oh my god. Like that was like the first time I ever saw her wrestle and I was like, holy fuck. And that was before she was in WWE. But anyway, and Kyle O'Reilly, I knew that he was going to do well in this match, anyways, just because at least they gave him a spotlight to be by himself. Like he's always been good with Bobby
Well, that's
Fish,
what I was
right?
going to
They've
say. Though
been
I hadn't
great
seen
tag
him
team.
by himself um, ever, so it was kind of really. And again, that's because of my lack of watching NXT more than likely for why I haven't seen him. But
Well, I don't think they've really pushed him as a singles guy ever. I think. I think that's the main thing was because Roderick Strong and Adam Cole, they always pushed as singles guys for a long time. And then but like him and Bobby Fish were Red Dragon when they were in it was like after him and Kyle or him and Adam Cole broke up, him and Bobby Fish turned into Red Dragon, where it was a thing with Davey Richards that was there at the
yeah,
time. But what's it called? They were in that tag team forever, the longest time. Probably like for at least like 2 or 3 years. I don't know exactly for sure. I would have to like look it up. But what's it called? They were a tag team for the longest time, and then eventually, I don't remember what happened. Adam Cole became world champ in Ring of Honor, and then for some reason, like he became a two-time champ, and right around the time that Adam Cole became two-time champ, Kyle O'Reilly was pushing him and like going into singles matches. And then eventually, Kyle O'Reilly overtook Adam Cole and he beat him once. It was a very short reign. I think it was only like 3 or 4 months, if that. But like right after that, him and Adam Cole and Bobby Fish and all of them got into WWE. So like all of them got pulled around the same time. I think maybe Roderick Strong was first, but like all of them got pulled around. So like I knew that like it was the smartest decision for like Triple H to put them all together. I still thought that it was the best decision. I still think that Donovan Dijak should have been in the team too as their muscle. But like, I mean,
well,
really,
he's
they
in
didn't need
Retribution,
muscle the
right?
way that yeah, as T-Bar. I don't even want to get fucking involved with these stupid ass fucking names. Those names are the dumbest shit ever. It's like, really, if you're trying to make fun of Antifa in a way, okay, just name them T-Bar and Slapjack. That makes sense. You know, oh man, or church fart. You know, but anyway, I knew this match was gonna be good, and I knew that they were gonna be heavy hitting. And but the holy shit, Finn Balor whooped the shit out of Kyle O'Reilly for like 90% of this damn match. I mean, still Kyle O'Reilly came back, and it seemed like he uh hit his chin or something because he was bleeding at the
Well,
end.
they said
And I think
afterwards
Finn Balor did
he
the
broke
same
his
thing.
teeth or something.
Uh,
And
yeah, like it makes sense because like at first I couldn't tell, but then as soon as I saw like how Kyle's knee hit, it looked like he had bounced off his chest and then hit him in the chin. But I mean, that's the risk you're going to take when you do such physical moves too.
well, I don't know how he does the
Because
coup de grace and doesn't hurt people.
well, that's what I'm saying is like you would have to
you
like
kind of like step on them. I don't know how from a
yeah, and
jump. I
it
don't know.
looks like a lot of the time he'll step right on their stomach, and I'm like, dude, you would have to like suck in your gut or something for you to not get hurt.
Yeah.
Like and that's the main move that I'm like, oh, I would just never want to fucking take. It's like one thing when it's like he's just doing the stomp from like foot level where he's just jumping up and doing it, but doing it from the floor, holy fuck, or like up on the top rope, fuck, that would hurt. Like, but like he whooped the shit out of him in this match.
Yeah.
But like, it was still good though. I mean, like everything was very physical, and it seemed like they probably talked about it beforehand. And we're like, yeah, let's just fucking go.
That's one thing I talk
Like,
about
and
too is
that's
Finn Balor. I think I said it during the match. Finn Balor never has a bad match.
yeah, like I've never seen like fucking matches where I was like, it's okay. Now maybe matches with him and Baron Corbin, maybe, but also at the same time, Baron Corbin's very iffy to me sometimes. Like I used to love his wrestling, but like that was like when he was doing squash matches all the time. Now it seems like he's like straight like Dean Ambrose, like no, a 2.0, because it's like he does the same fucking moves every time. But anyway, like most of the matches, like especially now, Finn Balor's it just seems like he's just like I'm gonna whoop your ass, and I'm totally down for that. So yeah, when I saw this match, I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. And then of course it exceeded my expectations. So yeah. So I definitely say that this is at least probably out of the past couple of takeovers, I enjoyed this match more than the Karrion Kross versus Tommaso Ciampa match. Like, same with Keith Lee and Karrion Kross. It's like I enjoyed it better than that one. Like, probably the past like few takeovers, I enjoyed this one way more. So, yeah, I definitely say like it's at least high up on there for me. But yeah.
The one thing we didn't
So,
talk about was the fact that they had a return, and then I don't know if you would call it a
oh yeah, I
yeah.
forgot. Yeah, I should have mentioned that too, and it
Yeah, I
slipped my
don't know if
mind.
you'd want to call it a return or a couple of new people
Yeah,
to.
I mean, like Tony Storm, I think it was mostly. I don't know actually where she lives like now, but like I know she was mostly NXT UK, and she was from Australia, but I don't know if she was like because we haven't really seen her since the coronavirus stuff. So I'm wondering if she like lived in Australia or something or whatever, or either that or just was like taking time off because the coronavirus stuff. I don't know for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but like it was cool to see Tony Storm show up, and then of course I saw the vignette beforehand. I think it was last week on NXT or something, where it was showing like a biker, and I was like, I wonder who that's gonna be. And then of course Ember Moon showed back up, which thank God they took her off the fucking main roster because they fucking ruined her on the main roster. They didn't do jack shit with her at all when she was on the main roster. So I mean that it was totally fine for me when I saw that she was back in NXT. Oops, kicking dog
Yeah, and
toys
then
around.
you had the other one was it at the end at the end of the
Oh yeah. Fuck, I forgot his name
Rich
though. Like
Hall.
he was kind of Oh yeah, Rich Holland. That's what it was. He was from NXT UK too, but like he was kind of like I think it was on last week's edition of NXT also. Like he beat up somebody. I forgot who though. But like he seems more like a bruiser type. Like he comes out with like I can't remember the caps that they do. There's certain hats that they wear, or generally speaking, when you're from England, you know the type of hats that they've seen. I don't remember what they call the hats though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't. I can't really tell you. I think it's the same hat that he was wearing to the ring when he was dumping Adam Cole
I didn't see that he
into
was
the
wearing
ring.
a hat.
Or, I mean, he might not have wore a hat. It's kind of like a golfing hat, kind of.
Yeah, okay. You're just talking about a driver cap?
Yeah. Well, I think that it's something like that. I thought that, like, I've seen it on Piggy Blinders, maybe. Like, whenever I watch any like thing from like BBC America, I always watch like the show, some of the shows, and they always have that fucking cap on. But that's what I recognize it towards. I'm very generalizing and stuff like that. That doesn't really help. But anyway, he comes out in like a billy club type of thing whenever he comes out to the ring. But he's always in trunks
Looks like
and
they're
stuff
called
like
flat
that.
caps.
And well, that kind of makes sense.
Or scally caps.
But what's it called?
You're talking about the ones that are rounded with the stiff brim in the front, right? That have the.
It's kind of like a stiff rim, but then I don't know. It's hard to explain. I would have to actually see the cap again for me to be like, yeah, it was that one. But what's it called? Anyway, he comes out with like kind of like a billy club thing, but like he kind of comes out like if you say like if you're in a pub, like in Ireland, England, whatever, and you see a dude, like one of the bruiser types that just sits there and drinks a bunch of fucking beer, and then it's just not one of the guys that you want to fuck with. That's what he looks like. Like whenever he comes to the ring. So yeah, that is what it is. Yeah, but what's it going? But anyway, he's a bruiser. I forgot what move he does. He does like a pounce, like kind of like the same pounce. It's not as impactful as Keith Lee's because Keith Lee could fling you out of the fucking ring. It's like that gift that he did with Adam Cole where he like fucking pounced him out of the fucking ring. It's kind of like that, but it's just not as like impactful. But I can't remember his finish. It's like I don't know. The finish is okay. But like anyway, he seems like kind of cool, and it looks like they're trying to build him up, and it makes sense too. So like I'm intrigued with what they do with it anyway, especially knowing they're pushing Adam Cole right now. I just hope that they don't break up Undisputed Era anyway. I hope that they don't. I think it's going to ruin them, especially if they bring them up on the main roster. It's just going to ruin them totally. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Northern Grit.
I guess I'm on as well.
Huh? Looks like it's called Northern Grit. His finisher.
Oh, for what? Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I just don't remember what. Obviously, it wasn't that important. Like it wasn't so much for me to remember it if I don't remember the name
or the Northern Lights bomb.
Oh well, yeah. I think I saw him do that anyway. But I mean, like so many people do the Northern Lights suplex.
It looks
anyway,
kind
so
of like
not really so much different.
The way it looks is like
the Northern
Braun
Lights
Strowman's
bomb is kind of tight though.
Hold on a second. Oh no, it's
but anyway.
It's like just like it's anyways. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. That's the main thing. That's why I was like, okay.
Yeah, because it's like a normal suplex, except you do it on the opposite side of your body, and you kind of sit power bomb them kind of at the same time.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, but what's it called? Yeah, so like I'm intrigued with what happens with them anyway. Like, I wonder what they're gonna do, especially knowing that the Karrion Kross already came out, or well, Scarlett Bordeaux, or actually I don't even know what her name is in WWE right now. But anyway, like one of them was saying, "I'm watching." So I think that Finn Balor is eventually going to go against Karrion Kross, and then Karrion Kross might beat him. I don't know for sure, but so I
Well,
think
when's
that any
Karrion
of the
Kross going to
matches that
come back? Because
Finn,
doesn't he have a...
well, he only had a separated shoulder, so it shouldn't be that
Okay.
long. I mean, like with me, I had a separated shoulder, and I was out for like a week. So, like, it wasn't that long. It was
Well, it
like a
seems
week or
odd if
2
it
weeks.
wasn't
So, I
that
mean, they
long that
might be trying to
they
build.
took the title off him. That's just what was weird about it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They could have like waited. So obviously, it might be more than just a separated shoulder. But what's it called? So I guess, and what's it called? If you like any of her stuff, we're starting to. I'm gonna try to make weekly uploads now for the podcast instead of like once a month. We're thinking about doing it for like at least we're gonna start reviewing AEW Dynamite. So because I just felt like we should start doing it, so that'll probably be me and Jeremy like consistently every week. So, and then we're gonna start trying to do other type of things. So, like the main one that's gonna happen is probably either gonna be Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know which time, but it's probably gonna be either Wednesday or Thursday, and then probably. Like a few days later, we might do another one. I have something planned for a CM Punk related episode, which I haven't planned that out. It was going to be this week, but like takeover happened. Didn't realize that it was. I honestly thought the takeover was going to happen the day before, but at least they're starting to make it like their own like little thing now. They're even doing them on Sundays and all that stuff, so that's cool. So, if you like any of our content, we have like a whole website and YouTube channel and all that stuff, so where you could check all this stuff out. We do. I think I don't know exactly when we're going to do the D&D stream. It's probably going to be soon, like within the next week or so. So, but if you like any of that stuff, you could like, comment, or whatever down below, or comment. We've done like fan related stuff too. So if you want us to like review a certain pay-per-view or any of that stuff, you could just comment and let us know. And for me and Jeremy, I guess we will talk to you guys in the next
Yep.
podcast.
See you guys in the
See you
next
later,
one.
people.